Hey guys, I thought I would do my first video with a bit of a Q&A about me. I had a bit of a thought maybe starting my first video just talking to you about sort of my history and different things I've gone through, but I didn't really want to start on a negative note. Put up a poll on my Instagram. I'll pop my Instagram if I work out how to edit this properly. Just made note of different questions and written them down old school in my like a little book, so I'll just be reading off that if I keep looking down. If I keep looking to the side, it's because I'm trying to make sure my hair looks okay, the lighting looks like properly focused with my little side flip thing. I will answer all your questions about me, some a little bit weird, some a little bit random, and some I'll give a bit more of an in-depth reply. So anyway, what is my full name? It's Courtney Constance Easton. On Instagram it's Court Constance, Court because I get called Court as my nickname. Constance is my middle name, Easton is my last name. I am 178 centimeters. I don't know what that is in feet. 5'10", 5'9", 5'10" feet. I'm pretty tall for a girl. Sometimes I'm just like, yeah, I'm 6 foot. I don't know what there's not much difference between 5'10" and 6 foot really. I look pretty. My age, everyone thinks like this is a bit of a mix. Some people think I'm a lot younger. At the moment I've got no makeup on. I am 22. I just turned 22 in May. I am a Gemini. How much do I weigh? 70 kilos. Where do I live? So I live in Melbourne, Victoria in Australia. So what is my job? So my job, I am a personal trainer. I work for myself. I am my own business. So at Melbourne Muscle. What was my dream job? Well, I've had a lot of dream jobs actually. When I was in year 9, I think that's when I started to really think about what I wanted to do. And at the time I hated school. If I really had to pinpoint why I hated school, is because I went to a semi-private school. It was like a Catholic school, but it's like, it goes like public schools, Catholic schools, private schools. But the uniform was so gross. Again, I'm so thankful that I went to a really nice school. But in year 9, as a 14, 15-year-old, I hated the uniform and I just wanted to drop out of school, do VCAL or just go to TAFE and do my veterinary nursing course. I was pretty adamant about that for a little while, and then I don't know, that sort of just burnt out. I did volunteer at a shelter for a while, so I got some experience, but I don't know, I just stopped thinking about it. I've always loved animals, but I don't think that was quite what I wanted to do. I then wanted to do something in health. When I did go through what I went through, which I'll talk about soon, over year 10, 11 and 12, I wanted to do naturopathy, so become a naturopath, and I really had a strong passion for that. I was even like enrolled from when I finished year 12, I was enrolled to start my naturopathy course, but I don't know, I think I just got caught up with all my friends going to a mainstream uni, because naturopathy was a private college, so it's still a bachelor. I don't know, I still can't explain it. I was so adamant on it. I even had my own naturopath that I talked to all the time. I did so much of my own research. I think it just was like one day I was like, no, I don't like Melbourne anymore. I just want to get out and I just want to do something different, and I forced myself to find a course within a mainstream uni just to get out of Melbourne and to do what my friends were doing. I moved down to Tasmania, enrolled in a natural environment in wilderness studies, Antarctic studies course, the University in Tasmania, so UTAS, and that was an experience and a half. So I don't know, I think there's a question on that a little bit later, which I'll touch on. But my dream job at 15 was a veterinary nurse, then it was a naturopath, and then something in the environment to save the environment, and then I think I just naturally progressed into fitness. Do I have a boyfriend? I do. What's my natural, I feel so old school, not reading it off my phone. What's my natural hair color, and is my hair real? Okay, This is not my natural hair color, and my hair is not technically 100% real. I've got a lot of extensions in my hair. Can't remember if I've spoken about it on my Instagram story, but long story short, I've been bleaching my hair like an ice blonde for probably almost a year now, just getting foils. And then one time I just changed, I couldn't get into my normal hairdresser, and then I went to a different hairdresser. Biggest mistake of my life, because I had beautiful long hair, pretty much like this, like naturally, and they double bleached my hair, stuffed it up, looked up, blech. That left me with like no hair, and they were trying to tell me, oh, like it's not your hair, blah blah blah. I was like, I know my hair. It was beautiful, it was lush, and you guys stuffed it up. So argument aside, I had no other option but to put extensions back in my hair to fill in the spots that were falling out. And yeah, here I am with some extensions. So I wear 20-inch extensions. I think it's ice blonde. Yeah, at the moment they're like half falling out, which is not the best. My natural hair is like a mousy, like a mouse brown or like a dark blonde. So if you see I've colored in my eyebrows a little bit. Yeah, that's pretty much my natural hair there, that color. What's my favorite color? Pink. Favorite cheat meal? White chocolate. It really depends. It depends on like what I'm feeling like. So I never crave savory things. Like I never crave salty snacks. If I'm gonna have something like a guilty pleasure, it's never savory. It is always sweet. Best pickup line. Nowadays, social media, I guess my best pickup line is like flame reacting or like love heart eye reacting to your Instagram story. But I will slide into your DMs if what's my coffee order? I don't really buy coffee out. I've been drinking, which you would have seen on my Instagram story if you follow me. I drink Before You Speak coffee. The OG flavor is my flavor. I've tried caramel, hate cinnamon, but my favorite's the OG. But I drink that every morning. I've pretty much drank a sachet for the last like 2 years. That's my coffee order. I don't use the creamer. I actually haven't tasted the creamer. I should. What's my shoe size? Well, I'm tall. Oh, weird. I used to be a size 9, and then over the years I'm now down to like a 8.5. How's life? Life's unusual right now. I'm filming this in Australia, we've just come out of a lockdown isolation. I don't really know how censored I need to be about this topic. If you know, you know. We've just finished I think it was like 9 weeks. I'm not really sure, it's all blurred into one. Gyms, because I work out of a gym, gyms just started to open, so I was at the gym training out of there, working out of there for like 2 weeks and 2 days, and then we're back into lockdown. Melbourne is the most livable city. We have just gone down, and I've always had on my mind I wanted to move up north. That just cements my idea. But I'm staying optimistic. Just adjusting this. Do I have any animals or pets? Yes, I do. So when I was growing up, I had a border collie. Her name's Matilda. Her name when we got her was Princess. Right now, my boyfriend and I have a pet cat. Her name's Sky. You would have seen her on my Instagram story. So clingy. Like if I was literally, she's got so many traits that I have. It is so scary. If I was a cat, I'd be Sky. How many siblings do I have? I have one brother and he's younger than me. How often do I train? I'm competing again next year, hopefully after this whole restriction situation lifts. I'm currently training 5 times a week, weightlifting 5 times a week. I do cardio for 20 minutes every single day, like the stepper machine, and then I'll try and make sure I'm getting my 10,000 to 12,000 steps each day in whatever way I do that. My training split, I train lower body 4 times a week, shoulders 1, and I train back once. So that's my training split with my coach at the moment. Do I track my food? Absolutely I do. Do I think this is like 100% necessarily necessary for the entire population. Absolutely not. That's just my goals, and that's what I need to do to achieve what I want to achieve. But as a trainer myself, if a client wants to learn that skill, absolutely, there's so many benefits in that, as long as I think it's only going to create healthy habit for that client. If I feel it's not, then I will teach nutrition, good habits in a different way, and it's absolutely possible. But personally, I track my food. What are my macros? Okay, right now I have a 2,400 calorie day. I have a 2,200 calorie day. I have 3 1,500 calorie days. Hang on, that doesn't quite add up to 7 days, does it? Okay, I've got 3 different days, and on my lower body days I'll have more food because that's the part I want to grow more. Sorry, had to fix that. What are my top 3 goals right now? Well, wow, has that changed since the start of the year? I guess there's some really personal things I want to achieve and some things I can share with you guys. My top 3 goals is obviously 1, get to stage as soon as I can compete, and compete at a completely different physique than what I brought to last year, and I'm really confident in that. I've changed the process I'm going to take. I've really learnt from the first time I've competed, so I'm really confident I can do that. That's my 1 biggest goal. My 2nd biggest goal, let me come back to that. Well, this is a bit forward. Am I still anorexic? Okay, so I'll give you a little bit of a brief. So when I was, and I've mentioned this on my Instagram quite a few times, but for those who don't follow me, I did suffer from anorexia nervosa and a couple of other eating disorders when I was younger, in my late teenage years. I was diagnosed at 16, however I was suffering from 15 onwards. That's when it sort of, I can recollect, it sort of started for me. I suffered from it quite severely. So when I was 16, almost 17, I was hospitalized. I actually spent my 17th birthday in hospital, and I was an inpatient in the eating disorder sort of area of the hospital. It was a very hard time for me, something I'd never ever wish on anyone of any age. It was a really uncertain time for me, considering of how severe it was. It's very different with different people, because some people can suffer from the disorder for years and years, or there's some people whose bodies just go from here to here in such a short amount of time. For me, it was a really rapid decline in my health. I suffered quite severely. When I was released from hospital, things were probably just as hard, because recovery is hard, and they do speak about this. And again, if you know, you know. If you've experienced it, I consider personally recovery almost as hard as the actual suffering of this disorder, because you're having to fight against your thoughts and your bad habits. As you know, people know, as anyone knows, day to day, when we've got bad habits and we're having to try and break them, it's very difficult and it's very uncomfortable. How bad was my eating disorder? I was dying. I was 17 years old, 16, 17 years old, and I weighed 30, in the higher ends of the 30 kilos. And I have only grown 2 or so centimeters since I was 16, and 176 centimeters, and I'm 178 now, and I weighed that much. So to look at me, I was very ill. I didn't really get to experience my year 11 year at school. I just didn't have that. I wasn't healthy enough to really attend school until very, very late that year. My next question is, how do I cope day to day after recovery? It's not linear. So from when I was discharged out of hospital to now, so we've got 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, because I'm 22 now. So 5 years, it's been like this. So subjective to your situation and who you've got around you, and try to resist against recovery for so long, because that's not what my eating disorder was telling me it wanted. And I'm talking like it's, in third person, because it was I was 2 people. I had this voice telling me, this is what you need to get to. You need to go down here, and there was doctors pulling me this way, and I'm in the middle, in a complete mental challenge day in and day out. That's why I mentioned that when I was sick, it was easier because I was just listening to this side of me dragging me down, the dangerous side. It was comfortable, it was familiar, and I was in control. And recovery, you do lose that control. I forgot where I was. How do I cope? It's been really hard. I started to gain more weight and focus on other things. 12 and getting into a course afterwards, finding a little bit of normality and developing a normal life for myself outside of hospital, in amongst my friends, was what I needed and what I wanted to achieve. Except I always had this side pulling me down. When I turned 18, I was no longer under the hospital watch, so to speak, especially because I was down in Tasmania. I'm not gonna lie, there was some part of me wanting to move to Tasmania so I can get away from the medical team. Unfortunately, when I did get to Tasmania, because an eating disorder thrives off control, years after can filter into different ways. It doesn't have to be, restricting your food. It could be you're needing control and an escape from reality, a distraction, and you may resort to alcohol or drugs or poor relationship, obsession over exercise. It comes in so many forms, and I have to do a completely different video on that because there's so much I want to share and talk about. But when I did move down to Tasmania, I actually found that I really hated the course I was doing. Shock, I know. I think I was just really happy that I got down there and away from everything that I was dealing with in Melbourne, because UTAS is such an international uni. So I met some really fresh faces, built some relationships, had some awesome memories. But I drank, I took drugs, I did a lot of things to distract me, and I was living in student accommodation. It was a really unusual time. I had some really uncomfortable experiences down there, so it's sort of another time I just let loose, and having been restricted for so long, and then all of a sudden, when everyone's turning 18, I couldn't do that. So as soon as I had free reign and freedom, I took it from 0 to 100. I had no in between. Once I leveled out and I felt that I needed to come back home, especially to my beautiful best friend Adele, who, credits to her, was my lifeline down there. I called her every night. She was amazing, never judged me for my choices. She always just made sure I was okay. So I came back and I thought, I'm going to start fresh. I wanted to become a yoga teacher because I found I wanted to channel. I went through a hippie stage, so I wanted to channel some sort of high vibe thing. I had some really good intentions, so I looked into it and I wanted to do yoga teaching, and the course was up in Byron Bay. So I thought in my head, okay, let's scratch out Melbourne. Let's go from Tasmania to Byron, and that's going to fix my problems. So at this stage, I was 19 and running from my problem. I gave Tasmania a go, didn't like it, and I went straight up to Byron Bay as a holiday, and I actually was meant to go solo, but I went with my best friend Adele. I didn't end up moving up there to do my yoga teaching. Her and I treated it more like a really amazing holiday together after we hadn't seen each other for so long. And I think the stars sort of aligned in a different way for me. So I went back to Melbourne, moved there, settled in, and that's sort of how I was coping with my past as I was growing up into a young adult. Yeah, so it's funny how the mind works and how recovery is so different for everybody. It's not always food related. So when I moved back to Melbourne, I actually still had those eating disorder tendencies. I still restricted quite heavily. I became very obsessed with my training. I was gymming twice a day, even sometimes 3 times a day, walking all the time, and I was vegan at the time, so I was using that as an excuse to not eat certain things, training heat, and it was a bit of a mess. But I was slowly starting to build some normality back in my life, as in with work and things like that. I still didn't really know what I wanted to move into education-wise, but I actually met my ex-boyfriend, and when I mentioned before about how your eating disorder tendencies come in different forms through recovery, this is another one of them. I had resorted to drugs and alcohol, bad relationships, and this was one of them. It became a really toxic relationship, became toxic real fast, and because I had so many deep-seated issues that I couldn't even identify within myself, and a lot of insecurities, I felt like that was my only option, and to stay in that toxic environment. All the right things were said to me, all the actions were opposite. But I don't really need to bring that up, but that's just another way recovery can obviously work, and that was my second thing that happened to me. And in that time I did relapse severely. It was something that I had to keep to myself because I didn't feel the support was there, because I felt like that was the issue. The way I got out of that was I chose to compete, and I had researched about it. Well, here is a sport that I can really focus on my training, and this is going to be my answer to having to eat more, because I knew you had to eat more to build muscle. I understood all that, but my eating disorder didn't allow me to do that. But if I said to myself, if I can commit to competing and getting myself into this amazing sort of physique, I will eat more. So that was my mindset then, and that was something I couldn't do in my last relationship. I tried to do it in secret, to do it for myself, and I couldn't. And I tried twice to do it, and then it got to a point where I wanted to take it in my own hands. I wanted to take ownership, and I wanted to do it, and I was going to sacrifice anything. It took me about a year and a bit into that relationship to choose that. Somehow it was working for a while, and then I was so invested in this competition. I found a really good coach, and that was the support, and it was a male coach, and that was the male support I needed. And I wasn't getting from the partner, and I really loved working with my coach and my prep, and it was my saving grace. And to the point I was so invested, and I didn't want anything to interfere with me getting on stage. I ended that relationship, and I had that courage. I was really so happy with the place I was in. My family and friends, especially my best friends, watching me suffer for so long, was so happy. And once I got rid of that, everything came aligned. It was so beautiful, and it was the happiest I've been since being unwell. Holy shivers, that was so in-depth. I just got totally off topic. I did say I was going to make a different video, which I don't know if I really need to now. To answer your question, how do I cope day to day after having anorexia nervosa? I have my up and down days. It's very situational based. The only thing I need to do, and I know I need to do, is I need to eat so I can drown out the eating disorder thoughts pulling me this way. Because as soon as I listen to them, I will go down that way. If I'm continually fighting them by listening to my coach, eating the food I'm meant to, staying true to my goals to compete, then I'm going to keep going this way. And that is the beauty of habit and breaking habit, is as soon when you've got that habit set in every single day, every day, if you're going nope and you're blocking on, I don't know what this is, or coming at that habit with something else, and you're doing it over and over and over, that's how you break that habit. And it is hard. You know, for me, this is pulling me this way and I'm going this way. The more and more I do that, the more and more I'm going to go this way. I'm talking to you now because I've just recently, so about 6 weeks now, but before that I started with my new coach. I was coming down this way and it was really bad, and I was in a really dark place. And the more and more I'm able to listen, the more and more I'm trusting the process and trusting my goals that I've set for myself with my coach, I'm now very much in control this way, not this way. I didn't want this video to go for too long. I just really wanted to introduce myself in a different way, not having to introduce myself straight with I've had an eating disorder, here I am, because there's so much more to me, and I wanted to really address in a video all the questions that I collaborate them and use this camera that I've bought. So I thought that would be a really cool way to do it. Hopefully I haven't cut my head off too much in this video. Oh yes, I was going to address the other goals I had, which I'll have to think about because I only have one at the moment. I'm not too sure and I need to think about it. I'm mindful goal setting. So hopefully you really enjoy this video. Hopefully it feels like you know me a little bit more, and I guess I will make some more videos. I think that's what's meant to happen.